Click, click, boom! What is going on, faithfuls? It's your boy Nick, nothing but Niners. You know how we do it. We are going to bring you another episode of Out of Bounds, episode 3. So basically, what that is you get to ask me questions, get to know who I am, a little bit more about me, and I'm also going to do a fan show. And we did a show last week, last week or the other night, about our most prized possession of 49ers, right? So I want to see what you guys have tonight. So if you guys want to join, let me know. Send me an email address at I will send you an email, get you in on here, and things going on. What they say. Why did you shave the beard? I know, Tyler. I know. I had to get it looking fresh. But yeah, guys. Look, man. It's the home of the faithful, right? So that's where we're at tonight. This is all about you guys, about myself as well, and we'll get to talking. So, a couple things that the Niners have happened with the Niners, right? Over the last week, we talked about it. Since then, Sean Coleman has. My volume is low. All right, let me fix that real quick, guys. Audio. Oh, you know why? There we go. Need to change that. All right, JD, what's going on, man? How's that? Is that better? Is that volume better for you guys? A lot better. JD, man, I need you to get up in here, man. I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm about to send you a link real quick. Can you jump on? So, what's going on, Anthony? What's going on, Mark? Tyler H, what's going on, man? See how all you guys are doing. All right, JD, I'll send you the link real quick. And just copy that. And I will send that link right over to you. Guys, give me 1 second just because it's only me on here. I'm going to need to, get these situations going, get people in here. But I wanted to say what's up to everybody. Show them what's going on, man. Cali, what's going on, man? I need to get you on a show also, Cali. I need you guys to come on tonight. Excuse me. This is all about you guys. I got IPA here, getting ready to be drank in a second, and get you guys going on. Look, you guys asked for a fan show. We're going to give you guys a fan show. JD, I see you 10 minutes. No worries. I'm going to send it to you through text, bud. And then, we'll get you guys on here in 10 minutes. What's going on, Jason? How you feeling tonight? Look, so Mike, always faithful 24/7. Let's go Niners. What's going on? I can't see. Hi, Debbie. What's going on? I'm drinking formula tonight. I see you, Sean. I see you. Philly 49ers, Nick. What's going on, Renee? Look, guys. Spy Nick Danger. I love that name. Mike and Breezy had did a show on our Instagram. I don't know if you guys caught that, but it's Out of Bounds. Hey, definitely, Anthony. Hit me up, man. Hit me up. Definitely. I'm always looking to try a new beer, a new IPA, or anything like that. Any types of new beers. This is actually a new one. It's a Heritage Surf IPA. So I haven't tried this yet, but this is made in Philadelphia from a small company that is in Sea City. Heritage Surf Company, or Heritage Surf is the shop. And they came out with their own beer. So, not bad. I'm going to try it with you guys for the first time. See what's going on there. So, Kenny, what's going on? Michael Eng, what's going on? So, anyway, as I was saying, guys, Mike and Wayne did this show called Out of Bounds. Basically, you got to ask him questions. You guys got to come on the show, learn a little bit about us and the Nothing But Niners crew. So, I was yet to do one, so I figured I'd jump on here with you guys on Facebook Live as well, which reminds me, I need to pull up the Facebook page because I can't see if you guys don't if you guys don't comment. Aaron, what's going on? Aaron Granado, so I can see what your name is in there. So Master J, what's going on? Debbie, I appreciate you guys, man. Like I said, this is about me. So you guys can ask any questions. If you guys want to jump on camera with me, let me know. I'll send you guys the link. I would love to communicate with some of you guys tonight. Just get your thoughts on the season so far. Not the season, but the off season. The guys that have opted out. Some of the things that have happened. The Mostert deal.
John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan restructures or extensions. We'll talk about George Kittle. Do we think, how long is it going to take the 49ers to sign George Kittle? That's a big topic right now. I know a lot of people are freaking out. I know a lot of people are freaking out because of the fact that, George Kittle's not in any of the media day pictures, right? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Why is he not? Is it a agent thing? I was talking to one of my buddies today, Logan. Great dude. If you guys, we were talking and he said, possibly it's the front office. Well, not the front office. The agent not allowing Kittle to do media stuff and use his face of the franchise until he is signed as the face of the franchise. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Renee, Myra Lee, what's going on? Che Martinez. Sean says, Nick, try Infamil Jalise. Let it sit in a bottle 3 weeks, then drink it. Sounds good. Jason, definitely. I don't think Kittle's going anywhere. So I'm going to be a little all over the place tonight, guys. I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. If you want to jump in, raise your hand in the chat. Let me know. I want in. Look, my thoughts so far, we've kind of gone over my thoughts with the Kyle and John Kyle and John extensions. I think it's a great move for the team. I think it shows that leadership role from Jed York, getting these guys in here to continue what the 49ers have set out to do, and obviously that's win Super Bowls, right? Now, last year we weren't so lucky to win a Super Bowl, but this team, you heard Trent Williams the other day. He said that, this team has that championship caliber vibe, right? He said as soon as he stepped in the building. Now, remind you, he's coming from Washington, right? Crystal, what's going on? He's coming from Washington. So, not much winning culture over there. And he's coming into a organization where he said the vibe is just totally different. Everybody's hungry. He's like, if I would have did a walkthrough practice in Washington, that's exactly what it would have been. This walkthrough felt like a straight practice. So these guys are getting after it. They're hungry, right? So, let's take some of these questions real quick. Dylan Craddock says, if you had to guess who is the number one with Debo out, I just don't think Ayuk will be ready. Look, Dylan, myself and Mike, we talked about this, right? Now, these are only my opinions, right? But we talked about this earlier in the season. I said that I don't think Brandon Ayuk takes off till midseason, kind of like Debo did last year, right? So my thoughts on this, if I had to guess right now who the 7 wide receivers on this team would be and who would – I'm not big with starters or number ones type thing. I just think that, all these guys in this offense can do all the same type of stuff. You got your guys that can go over top. You got guys that can break tackles. You got guys who can create space. You got guys that can do everything on this team, right? So, Casey, what's going on, man? So, the thing most about it is I'm going to give you my early prediction of the 7 wide receivers. Right now, we all know that Travis Benjamin was on that roster. He decided to opt out. So my 7 receivers would be Ayuk, obviously, Debo Samuel. That's 2, right? Ayuk being a draft pick this year, first rounder. Debo Samuel, right? That's 2. Jalen Hurd, that's 3. Trent Taylor, that's 4. Kendrick Bourne, that's 5. Let's see. KB. Oh, Dante Pettis would be 6. I just don't think he's going anywhere yet. It's too much dead money if we got rid of him. And if we don't trade him, obviously, we'll see. So Terrell Cox says, Nightstick Nick. What up, people? So that's 6, right? So who did I say? So Debo, Ayuk, Hurd, Taylor, Dante Pettis. Oh, and Juwan Jennings. That would be my 7 right there, right? I'm not counting Richie James, obviously. I think he's going to have a real struggle to make this team this year. Juwan Jennings can play receiver, I think, better than Richie James can. Now, Richie James has done what he can do in the return game. I obviously think we can get a lot better at that. So I'm going to go with Jennings. And Jennings is a guy who can return the football as well. as well as be a receiver on this team. Richie James had opportunities last year, and the Washington game for one, he stood out. He did he did his job in that Washington game, right? But other than that, man, he barely got any snaps this year. And what is that for? Why is Richie James not getting those snaps, right? We don't really know why they're not getting those snaps. So, let's see. Renee says, "Oh my God, our Philly Flyers are 2-0 round robin tournament tomorrow. Will beat the Bolts and have overall top seed in NHL playoffs. Will win Lord Stanley's Cup guaranteed." Yeah, Renee, I'm excited, man. Hopefully we can get that 1 seed tomorrow. I joined late. Are you solo tonight, Nick? Andre, right now I'm solo, but this is a fan interaction show. So if you guys want to jump on, come let me know. Yeah, no, he definitely got snaps. He just didn't get a lot of targets. You're right. I don't know how many total snaps he took last year. I will actually look that up right now, and see how many targets he got last year, or how many snaps he took. So let's see here. November 13th, 2019. Why Richie James Jr. deserves more snaps than the 49ers. So I'll look that up. I messaged you, Brian Statter. Okay, you messaged me on Instagram. Where did you message me at? So let me know. Cali, it's so funny because that's what myself and Wayne have say all the time. Like, I just feel like he has so much more potential than what he was putting on the field. He had that big run back, a couple good runs last year. Facebook, all right, I'll check it, bud. I'll check it tonight once we're done here. I thought that there was a lot of tentativeness. I totally agree with you. So Cali Young says, I thought Richie James was too tentative on special teams. I think he just has a lot more potential than what he showed, right? I think that he goes down at first contact most of the time, and he's tentative to hit holes. There were times I watched. I even think like the Baltimore and the Washington game when I was there, the one hole side of the field he looked like he was going to go to, and decided to just go middle or to the opposite side, and just couldn't do anything. He was just too tentative and just thought so much instead of just going. No, I'm not on Roblox, whatever that is. So definitely. So Trent Taylor. So Casey says it was Trent, if I remember right. They were asking those two a ton of questions about each other because they'll be matching up against each other in practices. So let me scroll back what you were saying. Let's see. Kinlaw looks huge. Yeah, look. So Casey Jason said, I like Jennings. I'm not sure. I can't go back. Oh, Bosa said Kinlaw is the biggest dude he's seen, and that's comparing him next to Armstead and Buckner. Yes, that was Bosa. It wasn't Trent. Nick Bosa came out and said they asked about Javon Kinlaw, and he said that the kid is a beast, and he's the biggest human being he's seen. I did post a picture of that, and with the tweet on our Instagram at Nothing But Niners, so make sure you guys check that out over there as well. So Debbie says, how do you think Spoon will do this year? Do you think he will be the starter? Look, I don't think Spoon is going to start this year. Mike is a big fan of Ahkello Witherspoon, and it's not to say that I'm not a big fan. I just not sure what Ahkello Witherspoon is yet. We've seen flashes of him being really, really, really good, right? In that 3-game series, and then he got an injury, and then he came back and he just wasn't the same. I don't know if it was because of the competition level. I don't know if it was because of his injury. I'm not sure what it was. So Al, what's going on, man? So I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure if he has, that. Hold on, guys, it's gonna be loud. I don't know if he has that tenacity right now to take over that over that starting role right now. But look, camp, it's a new year. I have no doubts that Ahkello Witherspoon can play corner. I just don't know if he can be as consistent as he was before. That's not saying anything bad about Akello. I think he has a hella, like a ton of athleticism, right? And it's just a matter of keeping his head on straight and being able to make those plays. I'm just right there, right? So, it goes back to that type of thing that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you can get better than what you have already, then obviously you fix it, right? So that is going to be an interesting camp battle to watch is the starting DBs on the outside. So I'm not crazy sure right now. Brian says our secondary is our weak area. Debbie says, I'm on the fence about him. I know he's got the talent. He's definitely got the talent, guys. There's no denying the talent of Akello Witherspoon. Like I said, it's just mainly if he can, stay consistent. So, look, guys, it's definitely all mental with him, Dion. I see Dion Carolina's in here. Soal was in here. Crystal Brown. Aaron, what's going on, guys? Needs to turn his head and tackle, Ted says. What do you think about Jason Verrett possibly bouncing back? This is a good question, right? So Jason Verrett, I said the other night on the show that Jason Verrett can play the slot as well. So if something happens to Shark, obviously if you guys don't know who Shark is, that's K'Wan Williams. There is a chance that Jason Verrett can step up. Look, I'm interested and excited to see what Jason Verrett can bring to this team. I've seen what he can do, bearing injury, obviously. If he can stay healthy, you know what kind of athlete he is. You know what kind of athleticism he has. And look, he's definitely a baller, right, when healthy. He came in last year. He had that one play where he got burnt on, and Niners fans just gave up on him, right? But you also don't realize that he got hurt on that play. He tweaked something again and then was out for the rest of the year. So, I don't know if he was out for the rest of the year. I think he did come back, but I'm not sure if we brought him back off the IR or not. I'll have to look into that. So I'm not sure. So let's talk about this real quick. I'm looking forward to see how Jet and Hurd can do. Look, I'm really excited about both these guys. These guys are, two guys that I've looked forward to playing in this offense since we've drafted them. Well, Jalen Hurd, not so much when we first drafted him, because I was a little pissed off that we drafted Jalen Hurd because we went back-to-back with a guy I felt at that time was kind of a reach. Now, I know in the draft, me and Mike go back and forth on this. In the draft, there's never a reach. If you see your guy, you go and get him, right? So, obviously, Jalen Hurd was a guy that the Niners wanted. They reached out, they got him, and we went back-to-back receivers in that draft. But then watching Jalen Hurd against Dallas and the physicality that the kid brings, super excited about seeing that. Jet, I've been excited about seeing him in a 49ers uniform. Seeing him in a 49ers uniform in a real game, because obviously he only played a preseason game or something, hasn't really done anything. And then 2 years out with the knee. So, the talent that he brings to this team, with the ability to catch the football out of the backfield is phenomenal. I can't wait to see what this guy can do. So, let's see here. Debbie says, do you think any of our guys will get comeback player of the year? I'm trying to think of somebody that was out for a long period of time to get comeback player of the year. Debbie, let me get back to you on that because I have to think about that a little bit. This is a perfect. Tony Two-Tone says, Mostert was hype about Hurd, saying how he's the most physical dude he's seen right now. And I believe that was he ever seen. Look, Hurd is very physical, right? The only thing with physicality, though, is you have more of an opportunity to get hurt, right? Obviously, it's the NFL. You got a chance to get hurt every single play. But if you're physical like that, play in, play out, it takes a toll on your body. But he was a running back before, so he can take that, take those hits and take that, be that physical and have that physicality. So, let's see here. What are the chances we go after Taylor Gabriel before the trade deadline? I don't think we're bringing in any more receivers. I think we're set at receiver. I'm not a big fan of going after Taylor Gabriel. Yes, a lot of people say Taylor Gabriel only because of the familiarity with Kyle Shanahan. And, I don't think we bring any other receivers in here or go after any other unless there's an injury in camp. Let's see. Yeah, only ones is Trent Williams. There you go. Only one is Trent Williams and Trent Taylor that can get comeback player of the year because they're the only two that were out. I couldn't even think of anybody that was out, obviously, for the year. And Trent Williams obviously sat out last year. But Trent Taylor obviously was out the entire year as well. Jerick McKinnon could probably get it as well, right? Because he hasn't played in 2 years, so he's a comeback player. Let's see here. Cali, this is a really good point because Jimmy better be wearing that knee brace because he has not had that knee brace on in any of the videos that the 49ers have put out, right? So will he be wearing that for his rest of his career? Cali thinks he will. He'll be wearing that for the rest of his career. Guys, type in yes or no if you think that yes, you think that Jimmy Garoppolo will wear that brace for the rest of his career. And he said that he would, but then he was out there throwing the football and moving around and stuff and didn't have it on. So you should practice like you're going to play, right? I know it's early in camp, but do you think that Jimmy Garoppolo will wear that knee brace the rest of his career? Type yes in the comments. If no, type no. Yeah, Jimmy definitely said he would. So, there we go. Oh, we got JD with the Hawk Hater TV up in here. Let me get my man JD up in here. What is going on, baby?
What up, brother? Give me 1 second. Let me turn you up. That's my bad.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries.
What's going down, brother?
Same old, man. Just same old, man. Been it's been a rough year. A couple months, obviously. Can't wait for some Niner football, man. I'll tell you what, that video the Niners put out the other day, man, just got me so excited. It was like a kid going in the candy store, right? To see these guys on the field throwing the football around, just the tenacity that you could see in their faces and their eyes and the way that they were going. So, okay, so people are saying we have an echo now.
Do we have an echo? Oh, yep.
Yeah. So let me remove you real quick and then just pop right back in. Let's see if we have it there now still.
Let's try it again. Nope, echo.
It's echoing? All right, so go ahead and pop out and then pop back in real quick, JD.
All right. Neither of us have headphones.
Yeah. That's all right. Normally we don't use headphones anyway, but...
Let me pop out and I'll pop in.
All right. Yeah, no worries. So sorry about that, guys, with the echo. We'll get that taken care of once we get JD pop out of here and see if he comes back in. If anything, I can turn down or move my microphone a little away because that thing picks up a lot. So, guys, I'm looking to hear from you guys tonight, man. I want to have a couple fans on here and talk about some things and show us your most prized possession. Come on video, ask me a question live, and we'll ask that. So let's see. All right, how are we looking now?
Let's see. Still echoing, man. Killer.
You on a phone?
I am.
You're on a phone. That's probably why.
I'm always on my phone when I come on here.
Huh. That's weird. Yeah, because I don't hear the echo, but they do for some odd reason.
Maybe my volume is too high.
Yeah, maybe your volume's up too much. Try that.
Is that better?
Guys, how's that sound?
It still sounds like it's echoing to me.
You can hear the echo?
I can hear myself after I talk to you.
Oh, so it's like a delay. Omar says you're good. Says it's good right now.
Shit.
So
yeah, I don't have any headphones around me right now.
Yeah, Anthony says it's better too. So
all
right, we'll just rock on. So what's going on, man?
Just getting ready for the season like everybody, man. I've been slacking on the videos and the Niner content, but you guys have been killing it. So keep doing your thing, man. Don't
Hey, man, look.
I don't know. I just been dealing with a lot of stuff. I was one of the unfortunate people that got laid off during this pandemic, so I've been dealing with all that stuff. And fortunately, I started a new job next week, so that's good. But it's just a weird time for everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird time, man. Like I said, it's 2020 has been a hell of a year, right? So obviously with the pandemic and stuff like that, I've been the same way. So it's been hell, but Mike and Wayne and Tony and love all those guys, but they've been holding it down for me as well. Picking up the slack on my end that I couldn't be doing. Much love to those guys. Always. I guess JD's gonna pop back out and pop back in. Always holding me down over here, so I appreciate them guys, man. All right, 49ers fan. I see your question. We'll get to that in a second. And then we'll go from there. When will the refs stop cheating our Niners? Look, I don't blame. I want to see who said that. So Edward Strine says that. Yeah, I'll tell him to turn down the sound when he comes back. So he'll be right back. There he is, right there.
My bad. I was trying to mess with the mic settings and it booted me out.
No worries, man. No worries. Somebody said, "Where's JD?" So, look, try to turn. If you hear it still, just try to turn your volume down just a little bit more. It might be bouncing off and coming back through the mic. So, but yeah. So, what hat are you wearing, Nick? I have this hat on right here, but I'm just wearing that backwards because a lot of my hats, I feel like my head shrunk when I lost this weight, so I feel like none of my hats fit me right anymore. Let's see here. Cali Young says, shout out to JD and the fellas at 49ers Brawl.
Yeah, man. Been doing the podcast over there every week since about February, so it's been fun.
Nice. See, I didn't even know that. That's how much I've been out of the loop, man. So I have to give you guys a listen over there. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's three of us over there, and we put out weekly episodes. Typically, we record on Sundays. They come out Sunday evenings, Monday mornings, that kind of thing.
Okay, now is it just on a podcast platform?
Yeah, it's on a bunch of different podcast platforms. You can find it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There's pages for it at 49ers Brawl. It's all part of the Brawl Network, which is like a new up-and-coming sports content site. They're covering all the teams. I mean, they have right now there's like 40 writers, 70 different podcasts. I mean, it's growing exponentially, and we've been doing the 49ers thing since February. So right after the Super Bowl, we started up, and that first episode wasn't too fun, but it's been fun obviously. Covering everything. I haven't been doing the videos here on YouTube as much, but I've been on the Brawl podcast every week. So
right. So Niner Wire said facts at Cali Young. If y'all don't listen to that or read the articles, make sure to check it out. He says, FYI, I've been writing for their website, so make sure to check those out. Niner Wire, that's Sam. Much love to Sam and Niners Wire as well.
Yeah, he just joined us over there writing Niner content. So what's up to Sam? Hope you're doing good, my man.
Yeah, Sam's a good dude, man. Knows his Niners. Love to collaborate with him as well. So, yeah, that's fun, man. So, Panama Queen says, any Niners podcast, I'm out there.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm there, Panama Queen. So, look, man, we haven't talked in a while. Right? Me and you. So, what are your thoughts so far on the moves that the 49ers have made, whether it be John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan, the whole Raheem Mostert ordeal? What has stood out to you most about the 49ers offseason so far?
I mean, obviously the thing that stood out to me, and it's low-hanging fruit, is the George Kittle situation. That's been hanging over everything all offseason, and I think they're going to get it done. They're going to hammer it out before the season starts because they don't want this as a dark cloud over the season as the team's trying to make it back to the Super Bowl. I'm not worried about George Kittle getting re-signed. A lot of people on Twitter would probably beg to differ because I tweet about it constantly. But I think it's going to get done, when push comes to shove. Deadlines always spur action. But that's definitely been, the main thing I've been paying attention to, just like everybody else. It's been a roller coaster with the negotiations and stuff that I've been told, but at the end of the day, it's going to get done. It has to.
Look, you heard John Lynch talk about it, and you heard Kyle Shanahan talk about it. And they both said it would be stupid not to have George Kittle here. Like, he is a face of the franchise, right? We all as fans know that it would be a stupid move if we don't bring George Kittle back. And it would kill the juju that the fans have with the front office right now, right? It would just kill them. You've already got the movement started, hashtag pay George Kittle, right? The fans are already on board with it. But there cannot, look, I've never said this before, but I can guarantee that George Kittle will be a 49er for a long time to come, right? And I don't guarantee on things, but George Kittle means more to this team than just a stellar tight end that he is. So he puts people in the seats. He's good with the fans. He's a good sociable person, right? He does a lot of good things. He's a leader on and off the football field. So, look, this George Kittle deal, the only reason I can't wait for it to get done is so I can stop hearing about it. Like, to be honest with you, it's not about – I have no fear that the Niners will sign George Kittle to a long-term extension, making $13 to $15 million a year, right? And which he deserves. But I will just be so excited. I can just be like, hallelujah, the hashtag pay George Kittle, and all the George Kittle talk is done.
Yeah.
Is done, right? So that's my biggest takeaway from the whole George Kittle thing. When we signed Jordan Reed, right? It was, oh my God, is there trouble in paradise with George Kittle and not signing? Guys, look, it's just to take some breathers and take some of the workload off George Kittle's back. Right. George Kittle, when healthy, is playing like damn near every snap. So, we have to be careful with that. You can run more 2 wide receiver or 2 tight end sets. You can run 22 personnel. You can run a lot more and rotate these guys with a Ross Dwelly, a Jordan Reed, a George Kittle. So, look, I understand that everybody's tired of waiting. As 49ers Lakers for life says right here, I'm tired of waiting. I think the whole world is tired of waiting, right? But there's a lot of things that we're tired of waiting on. We're tired of waiting on COVID. We're tired of waiting on vaccines. We're tired of sitting in our house and not being able to do anything. Go to a bar, enjoy people, go to a football game. We're all tired of waiting. But eventually, it'll happen.
Yep. Eventually, I wanted to hit on one thing you mentioned earlier before I hopped on about how some people are noticing that the 49ers aren't featuring Kittle on the media pictures, training camp, press conferences, all that kind of stuff. I've been tweeting about that, and people have been jumping down my throat saying, why are you stirring the pot? Why are you talking about that? It's not a big deal, yada, yada, yada. Of course, the George Kittle deal is going to get done, but anytime you're not featuring the face of your franchise, it's noticeable, and it's for a reason. Now, I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I think simply all it is, they don't want to put George out there and have to take questions about the whole negotiating process and where things stand. But at the same time, you can't say it's nothing. They're not featuring the face of their franchise, and it's not for no reason. And, people are jumping down my throat, like I said, and it's just kind of funny. It's like, how can you say that it's no big deal when he's literally the face of your franchise, even more so than your quarterback, and they've barely mentioned the guy?
Right. And that's why I said Logan, one of my buddies that I talked to who's out there in Florida area that I met, like I said, cool cat. He brought up a good thing, and maybe it is, like you were saying, maybe it is the agent and saying, look, you're not going to be the face of the franchise. You're not doing these media things, until your deal is done. But on the other end, you do see that. The fans do see that. When George Kittle is their main guy, that they're all looking to get paid, and then you don't see him on these, on 49ers.com or on Periscope or Twitter or wherever it is social media-wise, right? But it could also just be he wasn't scheduled yet, and he was just practicing. There could be a lot of ton of different things for it. like I said, I'm not worried about it. I think George Kittle will be a 49er for a long time coming, and that we'll see what happens. So, what were your thoughts on the John and Kyle extensions?
I thought they should have announced them together. Of course, they got them done. Good on the 49ers. Props to Jed York and the organization for getting them done. However they did it, it doesn't matter now. They're done. They're signed up for the long haul. But when you do them separately like that, you allow people to talk about them and bring up reasons. Oh, why did they announce the signings together? What's going on behind the scenes? Like, you allow that kind of talk to go through your building when you don't do things in a certain way. And so I don't agree with them spacing them out. I understand the pandemic is throwing a wrench in everything, but you just allowed a little bit of drama and negativity to hang around. And I don't like that. I know the Niners are really trying to work on, just building that image, getting away from those negative years that we were in. And I just didn't like the way they handled it. I thought they should have just did a joint announcement, announced them both, it's over and done with. But that makes you think maybe there was some stuff going on the scenes that we don't know about. I'm not saying that was the case. You leave things open to interpretation. That's all I'm saying.
Right. You definitely see things differently when you dig into things, right? My thoughts on that whole process was, if you heard John Lynch say himself, the end of the season last year, right? You got to think of it the way John says, and John said, Kyle Shanahan is a first-time head coach, right? And he wasn't paid like a head coach. His money that he was making was nowhere near what others were making in the league. And Jed York said to him at the Super Bowl, no matter what happens here, we're going to get you taken care of. We're going to get you an extension, and we're going to, and John physically said on KMBR, said, I knew they were going to do Kyle first. He wasn't paid like a head coach. He deserves to be paid like a head coach, like a non-first-time head coach, right? And that took precedence over what I was getting, right? And then they start working on a contract deal with John Lynch, and obviously the pandemic hits. So that stops a lot of talks, right? It just halts everything. We all seen it in our own lives, how much.
But here's the thing. I'm not sure if you guys have discussed this here on your show, so if you have, correct me. But Kyle Shanahan and his contract, it was agreed to 2 months before they announced it.
I don't know.
That was publicized. That was put out there. They agreed to that contract 2 months before it was announced.
Okay, so I didn't see that, so I can't comment on that because I didn't see that it was out. The last thing I heard was John Lynch doing a interview and kind of hinting that it was already done. And
I heard specifically that they agreed to it, and it was done 2 months before they announced it. So that's part of the reason why I'm like, well, what's the holdup with John Lynch's deal? Like, why leave things open to interpretation like that? Why allow people to speculate?
Right. So I can't comment on that because I don't know. If that's the case, I could see where that kind of raises some eyebrows as to why wasn't it announced. And maybe it just wasn't. Look, we talk about this a lot. Reports came out that Deion Jordan was signed, right? And the 49ers didn't put anything out on it. They just put it out today, right? Confirming that. So, there's if it's 2 months, that's a long time. But what affected those 2 months and for him to come out and say, I'm signed or I'm not signed or whatever, right? So, John Lynch, like I said, the interview that I heard was like, there's some good things coming. Like, he wasn't worried about it. Like, he sounded like it was already done in that interview. And then obviously a few days later, they mentioned that he was. So was it something that John Lynch did to bring that, John Lynch saying on KMBR that made the 49ers just announce it? Or is there something going on behind scenes about it? You can look at it a bunch of different ways.
Yep.
You can look at it a bunch of different ways. But you also got to look at it this way. John Lynch has one less year than Kyle Shanahan does.
Yep.
Now, is that because John Lynch is like, look, I can do this another 5 years? I'm not going to – and we can revisit it later? Now, John Lynch is a lot older than Kyle Shanahan, obviously, right? And John Lynch is getting older. I don't know how old exactly he is, but I will tell you. And some of these guys do this stuff for a long time, and some guys just, how can I say this? Just kind of don't want to. So he's 48, so he's only 8 years older than me, so he's not old. Because I'm not old. I'm 40. But some of those guys, you heard John Lynch say the other day, he's like, I don't want to say I'm a lifer at this, right? If he does 5 more years, right, on that extension, that's going to make him 8 years in the organization, right? Yep. At 48, he's done traveling. He's traveled a whole lot. Now, he's played football, right, for years, and Hall of Fame style football, and then was a broadcaster traveling away from his family, and then took another job away from his family. So maybe 5 years for him isn't because of age, but it's because his kids will be getting out of college. They'll be starting families. He wants to be able to be a part of his children's life, his wife, and moving on. So
you're hitting it on the head, because if you read between the tea leaves with everything Lynch was saying about not being a lifer and I know I'm doing this for 5 more years, like you can kind of see where things might be going. So you're making a lot of sense. It all kind of ties in together.
Right. So maybe he just said, look, let's go with 5 years. That'll give him 8 years here, longer than he probably anticipated starting. Like, nobody would have guessed that he'd be here for 8 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? When he was hired, because he was a first-time general manager. And, so maybe it is just time for him to hang it up. He hasn't hung it up since football, right? I think he took like a year or so off and then became a broadcaster. And he's been traveling all over the world and not around his family for way longer than most people in the NFL do, right? So maybe that's where he says, look, I'll give you 5 years if I'm still interested at that point. And his kids just started college. So they're going to be getting out of college and starting families. And at 5 years, let's see where I'm at in life in 4 or 5 years. And if you guys want to keep me on, we'll hit that again. But I'm not going to give you 6 years. And that could really be what it was.
Absolutely. And the pandemic has a way of making people reevaluate their lives short-term and long-term. And so this could very well have had John Lynch thinking, things aren't necessarily promised. I don't really know if I want to do this forever. I do want to spend time with my family because we don't know what's coming, And so the pandemic could play a role in this too.
Yeah, it definitely could. Sean says, I think the Niners are being smart about future cap as far as Kittle negotiations, and also they are not putting him in a post to be grilled by media.
Putting him on the post to be grilled by the media. Putting
him in a position, basically position to be grilled by media. So, we know a couple guys out there that are grilling the whole, look, it's stories for these guys. They're going to run with it. They're going to take it to what it is. And they're going to go from there and see what they can get as that clickbait, right? And we all know, look, Grant Cohn, great dude in person, right? He's a whole different person in life and in person than he is on social media. In social media, he's doing his job. He needs to get a certain amount of numbers. He needs to get views. He needs to get people watching. And when you label something, look, if I labeled this George Kittle unsigned, do you know how many people would I have in here watching? And it's all about the headline, right?
And it's not just about clicks and views. He is doing his job. He asks the questions that other people are afraid to ask that still need to be asked.
Correct.
Correct. So he's not just doing it for clicks. He's doing it because the questions need to be, asked. And a lot of these reporters won't ask those questions. And so I applaud Grant. Every time he's grilling somebody, every time he's asking those tough questions, hey, I'm all for it because it's what needs to be said.
The best thing about him is that what he says, he sticks with.
Yep.
He doesn't allow anybody to change his opinion. He goes with what he said. and he takes it like he's what he's supposed to. Now, a lot of people don't like him, right? But you have to sit back and reevaluate because it's the same as me or Mike or JD. It's our personal opinions on things. You guys come at me or Mike or JD about our own personal opinions, right? But your friends and your family and your supporters and things like that. If you don't like Grant Cohn, then stop following him. And don't continue to read or watch or anything that he does. But I'm going to tell you, I like it because he sticks to a point. He has an opinion. He sticks to it. He backs it. And he continues to go with it. And like you said, look, we've said this on the show all the time. I wish our beat writers would ask better questions. We say this all the time. Myself, Mike, Wayne, Tony, I've heard you say it. We need to ask better questions because the fans need to hear things that they're thinking. But the media is afraid to ask that question. Grant Cohn isn't afraid to ask that question. So
just like the other day when he was grilling Raheem Mostert about his contract situation, asking him, who did you speak with when you came into the building and kind of smooth things out? Who exactly did you talk to? Like he got some more details, that we didn't know, and got Raheem to kind of open up a little bit about that whole situation. And I tweeted Grant right after. I said, "Hey, Grant is asking the questions that needed to be asked."
Correct.
That's what we need.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what we need to do. So you just brought his name up, Raheem, man. What are your thoughts on Raheem this offseason? He's put on a little bit of weight. Said he hasn't lost any speed. Obviously he requested a trade. He got a renegotiation done with his contract. Basically putting some incentives in there or incentive-based, not so much incentive, but guarantees. What are your thoughts on Raheem Mostert this offseason? He came in here, he says, every time I step on the field, I want to put fear in people's eyes. I want them to say, that's a bad mofo right there. Do you think his confidence level is too high? Do you think it's right where it should be? Or do you think that, he's a little too cocky?
If I want every football player on my team to have that kind of confidence. If you don't have that kind of confidence stepping on the field, then you're in the wrong profession. But my feelings on the whole Raheem Mostert thing is, my opinion's kind of unpopular. I don't like the way Raheem handled all this. This is 2 years in a row that Raheem whined about his contract. He got a new deal last year, signed a 3-year deal, and then he didn't bet on himself. He must not have thought that, hey, I'm not gonna be able to, get the opportunities that I need to get a better contract. So let me just sign the one that I can do right here. And of course, we know he outperformed his contract. That's fine, but that's where teams find value. That's how teams build rosters, is by signing guys, and ultimately you hope that they outperform their contract. It's all about cap numbers and building the team the right way and all that kind of stuff. But for Raheem to complain in back-to-back years about his contract, it's just not a good look to me. I was not a fan of that at all. I'm sorry that you signed a bad deal, Raheem. I'm sorry that your agent didn't get you a better deal. That's not the 49ers' problem. And I'm on the 49ers side with this whole thing. I wasn't a fan of how he handled it.
Well, you heard John Lynch say himself. He was mad. He's like, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? Now, I want to ask you this. Do you think that the way that Raheem handled it, or his agent handled it, do you think that hurts Raheem later down the road with the 49ers?
They rewarded him. They gave him the money that he wanted. If they really didn't feel that it was justified, they wouldn't have did it. And really, Raheem's 28. He'll be 30 when this thing is over. I don't really know what kind of leverage he's going to have then. He really doesn't have leverage now. And he's really not going to have leverage when he turns 30 years old. So I'm not worried about Raheem down the line. I think he'll be gone when this contract's up anyway.
Right. No, and it was just a legit question, just asking. Look, I said on our show that I was upset the way he handled it. And then I look at it at a different perspective and say, okay, well, if the NFL doesn't play this year, guys that don't have any guaranteed money are not getting any money. They're not going to be paid. And they're not going to go collect unemployment, right? Like most of us regular people can do, right? With an additional $600. The amount of money that they're living is, the way that they live, they're professional athletes, right, is a higher percentage of what we live, right? And when you look at what he was asking for, now I'm not saying that I was okay with it, because I'm not okay with a guy who outperforms due to other injuries on a team and outperforms his contract. He balled his ass off. I'm not taking that away from him, not saying that he didn't do anything. Did he deserve to be paid like a running back in the NFL instead of a special teams player? Absolutely, right? But there's a time for that. And that's where I was upset with. But then I look at it and say, well, the NFL is like right here on the borderline of not playing this year. And if that was me, I'd say, hey, I need guarantees in my contract and I need a restructure, because if we don't play football, I'm growing broke. And for a year. So I understand both sides of it, right? And
of course. You can look at it both ways easily. Right. I mean,
if it wasn't COVID right now, I don't think Raheem would have done what he did. To be honest,
but at the same time, it's not the 49ers' fault that his agent got him a bad deal and didn't get him any guarantees.
Right.
The 49ers have their own jobs to do. They're a business. They have to allocate money a certain way to fit it under the salary cap and have enough players and yada, yada, yada. Correct. I don't blame the Niners in this situation. It's on Raheem and his agent. I don't feel bad for him in that situation. It's not the 49ers' fault that he put pen to paper on a bad deal.
Right. Exactly. I totally agree with you. Sean Shepard says again, you guys think the fact that Deion Jordan played with Eric Armstead in college could help Deion break out? I think it was a smart move. What are your thoughts on the newest signing of Deion Jordan? What do you think he does here, and how much do you think he contributes if he can stay healthy?
I mean, you can substitute Deion Jordan's name for any player that they would have brought in. They're on a stacked defensive line with a great defensive line coach behind them. Whoever they would have brought in is going to have an easier time than they would have if they were on a team with less talent. I mean, Deion Jordan has a lot of studs around him, so he's going to be able to get one-on-ones. He's going to be able to show what he can do, and any player that would have been brought in is coming into a good situation. I mean, so Deion Jordan specifically, though, I mean, yeah, he's still an athletic dude. His talent is still there. He flashed last year with the Raiders. We saw that. I don't think him playing with Eric Armstead in college really has much to do with anything. As much as it does, he's coming on to a really stacked defensive line, and that's going to help him.
Sorry, hit the wrong button there. I tried to unmute myself, hit myself, remove me. Look, excuse me, you got all the good points there. You have all, politically correct points, right? And, the biggest thing that you say is stacked defensive line, right? And then you look at what we have on this line and what we're going to ask of the player, right? So we had this conversation before, not myself and you, but on our show. On our show about Jadeveon Clowney and Ronald Blair, right? And we were talking about, would you sign Jadeveon Clowney? And if so, why? And if not, why? And my thought process on it was, I'm not paying a guy more than $1 million to come here when he's going to be a backup player that I can get the same type of production from a guy named Ronald Blair, right? So I can get those 3 to 6 sacks and, 2 to 4 tackles for a loss. And Ronald Blair has the ability to be even better than what he was in the past 2 years, right? That's where this kind of falls in place with me, right? Deion Jordan coming in here as a backup player, not everything's on his shoulders, right? If you take an Aaron Donald now, two total different players, right? But you put him on this stack line, he's going to have better numbers than what he had as a starter because of the fact that he's not playing so damn much, right? Now, you take Deion Jordan and you rotate him and have him here as a backup plan to a Dee Ford, Nick Bosa, a Ronald Blair, and an Eric Armstead, right? Eric Armstead doesn't need to play the outside now. If you sign a guy like Deion Jordan, you can keep him inside. He doesn't need to move all over the field. He can stay inside at his main position and focus on what he needs to do to get better instead of worrying about different techniques, sliding all over the line. Same thing we did with DeForest Buckner, right? We moved him. D Ford playing on passing set downs, right? Nick Bosa, giving Nick Bosa breaks, right? You seen how many games last year where Nick Bosa was just gassed.
Yep. Fourth quarter of the Super Bowl.
Right? Just gassed.
Yep.
D Ford wasn't healthy, so Eric Armstead was sliding out. Ronald Blair wasn't healthy. DeMontre Moore came in and split snaps and then got hurt, right? And so this is a good, smart move for the Niners. This is going to help the front defensive line in less snaps, being trying to stay healthy and being energized.
My thing, before we move on at all, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here before I forget this. You said Davion Clowney or Ronald Blair. If Ronald Blair was healthy, it's a no-brainer for me. I mean, he's coming off that serious knee injury. We don't know exactly what he's going to look like out there this year. And so if they would have brought in Jadeveon Clowney for pennies, now I don't think he would have signed for pennies, but if they would have been able to bring him in for pennies, I would have been on board with it just because we don't know what kind of Ronald Blair we're going to get.
Right. Correct. And that's what I was saying is, this guy's still looking for $15 million a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not spending,
No.
more than $1 million on a player who's going to be a situational guy. I'll take my chances with depth than signing a guy for more than $1 million. Because
I mean, the Deion Jordan move is fine. I would have preferred DeMontre Moore, as I'm sure a lot of Niner fans would have. But I mean, you can't. It's a win-win situation. If he doesn't perform, it doesn't cost you a whole lot. And if he does perform, then hey, you got some solid depth for cheap. So
100. So Peachy says, do you think my guy Juwan Jennings makes the squad?
2 words: practice squad.
2 words for me: starting receiver.
Ooh, I think he'll be a practice guy.
I don't want to say starting because I don't believe in starters, but he will be. I believe he'll make the team. And
who do you think he pushes off?
Richie James Jr.
Well, right now they have 6 without Debo, including Richie James. When Debo comes back, that's 7. So they would push off Richie for Juwan Jennings. That would still leave them 7. They're going to have to cut 1 more.
Well, we carry 7 both times Kyle Shanahan's been on the roster.
Yeah.
Who would you
just imagine us keeping 6, but we'll see.
Look, to me, like I said, Brandon Ayuk's going to make this team, obviously, right? Kendrick Bourne is going to make this team. And you guys know how I've been on KB for years, right? And I've come around on the guy. Deebo Samuel, that's 3. Trent Taylor is going to make the squad. He was the best receiver in camp last year. If he's healthy,
that's the wild card. I mean, if he's healthy, of course he's going to make the squad. He just has to stay that way.
Right. If he's healthy, be prepared to see what he does in this offense. Right? And a lot of people count on Trent Taylor being out, but I still think that Trent Taylor has the possibility. Look, he said himself he's healthy, right? So Trent Taylor, that's what, 4?
Jalen Hurd,
that's 5.
Pettis.
If healthy. Dante Pettis, that's 6. So then you have Richie James Jr. and Juwan Jennings. Right?
Yeah, if they keep 7, it makes sense to keep Juwan. But I just have a feeling he's going to be a practice squad guy because I think Jalen Hurd is going to come on really strong and kind of provide what they thought Jennings would provide if Hurd wasn't healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's see here. So Brian says Samuel, Ayuk, Bourne, Hurd, Taylor, Jennings, and Pettis. Mark,
if they keep 7, I mean, I think he makes it, but we'll see. We'll see.
This is my theory on the practice squad this year, right? They're not going to put guys that they love or want to produce anything on the practice squad this year, only due to COVID. So you have no preseason to look at players, right? You have just regular camp, no preseason games. Your practice squad is upped in people, right? In numbers of personnel, but you're not stashing guys on the practice squad this year.
Didn't they increase the game day roster too?
Well, yes and no. They went up to
48.
So wait, it was what was it last year?
46.
46. Right. So they went to 48, but only if you're 47th, you can only have one positional player if you have an additional lineman as one of your guys. So you can't go and throw two receivers on. It has to be an offensive lineman and a receiver. Or it could be an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman. But you can't add a running back or a receiver unless one of them is an offensive line.
Okay.
So that's what is the new rule. So really you're only getting one additional player but can add an additional lineman to that. Or you can add two guys, like an offensive lineman, two offensive linemen, two defensive linemen. But you have to have an offensive lineman guy before you add. You can't add two positional players. You can't add a running back and a wide receiver.
Well, then if that's the case, then I can definitely see them keeping 7 receivers and having Jennings. It's just, if it was a normal year with normal rosters, I feel that Jennings would be a practice squad guy. But
I think if there was no COVID, that Juwan Jennings has more of a chance of going to the practice squad. But there's so many. This is the crazy thing about this year, right? Is there's so many different ways you can look at this season, right? COVID has flipped everything upside down, right? It's kind of like a pancake. So one picture normally the way you cook it, but you throw it over and now you have a different look, right? So the season is definitely a different look than what we're used to. There are going to be there could be guys that aren't on this team right now that come from other squads because of due to cuts down to 80, right? And I think the Niners were smart. And I talked to Mike about this the other day. I think the Niners were smart because they're cutting down to 80 now because they're taking a look at, instead of saying, there's a chance this guy can make the team where you're at 90, now it's like, well, the chance isn't as high. I'm taking the guys that I think have a real possibility of being on this team and keeping them and getting to 80. Hence
and
the
really
reason Brock Rudder got cut.
And really getting a look at guys you think can make the team instead of paying a little bit of attention to some fringe guys that, you're on the fence about. You're more focused going in. You've trimmed the fat going in. So, I like that approach.
Correct. And that's why, I'm happy that the Niners dropped to 80 quicker than most teams did, right? Instead of having splits. Because, look, you're meaning business right now. You have to cut, you got to be down to 53 or 55 guys, 55 roster now, in less than in a month and a week, not even. So you focus on your main guys, and then you take the guys you think that have a legit chance of making the squad, the ACs, the Jennings, the Ahmeds, the Hastings. Guys like those that you think can possibly do something and help your team, and you hold on to them till the last minute because there's a chance that if you stack them on a practice squad or cut them, they're going to be claimed off waivers because people will say, well, I like this guy's chance better than this guy's chance.
Yeah.
So let's bring him on and check him out. These guys aren't going to clear waivers right now. Most of the waivers guys who've been cut have been picked up by another team already.
Look at DJ Reed.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Injured. An injured guy at that who's not going to be back till November. But the Niners go and say, okay, well, if you clear waivers, we'll bring you back. But guys aren't clearing waivers right now. So the Niners did it smart. They focused on what they thought could really make this team, and make them better instead of playing with projects and they're ready to win. They're like, this is what we're gonna do. So I like what they did there. Let's see. What other news do we have out real quick? Sean Coleman. Do you think that's a big hit to us? He's a swing tackle. Obviously, he's been injured 2 years in a row now, right? But he was listed as our swing tackle. He had some potential, but he's holding out. He's holding out this year. Do you think that's a big hurt to our offensive line?
I don't, just because Justin School played decent last year. And, of course, you still have Brunskill, who should be the starter at right guard. But if for any reason you have to shuffle things around and put in Tom Compton there at right guard, Brunskill showed the ability to play tackle as well. And so there's some flexibility that the team has. Like I said, School and Brunskill and Compton, you can kind of – not so much Compton, but you can move some things around and make it work without Sean Coleman.
Right, and obviously Justin School had a good year last year, right? Who is somebody who can fill in at that tackle position. So yeah, totally agree with you. Am I missing anything else? I'm trying to think of some other Niners news. Jet McKinnon is healthy. What are your thoughts on him?
The way that the team and the roster is hyping up Jet McKinnon has got me excited about seeing him out there again. After 2 years of him not doing anything, it's kind of natural to be hesitant and just be like, I'll believe it when I see it. But the way that everyone is talking about him, and you see all those off-season training videos that he was doing, all the footwork drills and all that stuff, and the hurdles and whatnot, I'm hyped to see Jet McKinnon. He looks healthy. He looks good. And just hearing Trent Williams talk about him the way that he did at the presser the other day, and I know somebody else was talking, glowingly about him as well. I'm excited to see Jet, and I think it's going to bring a dimension to the team that they haven't really had, and that's, more of a pass catcher out of the backfield. And I'm excited. I want to see what he can do if he's good to go.
All right. Look, I've been excited to see Jet in this offense, man, since we signed him. So you said it all, man. Look, everybody thinks it's going to be Raheem Mostert this year. I'm telling you, keep your eyes peeled for Jerick McKinnon this year. Because, look, I think, not to say that Raheem Mostert's not going to get, a ton of snaps. I think he's going to get a ton of snaps. And I think he's going to make the most of them. But I just think I think the odd man out this year is going to be Tevin Coleman, to be honest.
And there's been the talk about that he might not make the roster. So if Jet's looking good these next few weeks, don't be surprised.
I want to see what Tevin Coleman's contract is this year.
It's like $4.5 million if they cut. We'll save $4.5 million if they cut him.
We'll save $4.5 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on that.
Yeah, let me see here. I'm pulling it up now. So 2020 is his last year on his contract. If we cut him pre-June 1st, which we can't now, so it's post-June 1st, even post-June 1st, we're still losing $2 million dead money and a cap savings of 2.8.
Oh, okay.
So 2.8 we would save. His contract is up after this year. And then somebody says, why are they so afraid to get rid of Dante Pettis? And the reason is because you have $1.367 million in dead money this year. Next year, it goes down to $683,000.
And I might be the contrarian here. I don't think they're afraid to get rid of Dante Pettis. I think that they don't see the reason why quite yet. It was only his second year last year. Sophomore slump happened. Last year was a strange year at the wide receiver spot until they got Emmanuel Sanders. Sophomore slump happened. Dante Pettis is coming around this year. He's a second-round pick, handpicked by Shanny. They're going to give him one more shot. I think this is obviously the make-or-break-it year for Dante Pettis. So they don't have to cut him. The dude's talented. We've seen him play. I mean, how can you justify cutting Dante Pettis, a player that we've seen perform on the field at times, and keeping a guy like Solomon Thomas who's a scrub? You know what I mean?
Look, Dante Pettis looks like he put a little bit of weight on.
Yep.
Did you see that picture of him the other day? A lot of people thought it was Jalen Hurd at first.
Right.
And his arms look, but he's got the weights out like this, right? He doesn't look like a twig anymore. He looks like he gained some weight. He looks like he put on some muscle, not weight as in fatness, but muscle. He just kind of had this look in his eyes like he was ready this year, right?
I just don't see the reason to cut him. It's only his third year, and players have sophomore slumps. I can say that till I'm blue in the face, and I still am a believer in Pettis' talent. I think, if he has a good year this year, I won't be surprised.
No, I won't. I won't be. I won't be surprised either this year, and I think that a lot of people have counted him out, including me, right? Because I'm like, look, this guy doesn't want to go across the middle. He, that first contact, he just goes down, which he does. He does go down at first contact usually, but the guy can run some crisp routes. He's got some great hands, and if we can get him fired up and his confidence level back up, I believe he'll be a hell of a special teamer.
And you saw games last year too, even in his down year, that he played with a little more physicality and he fought for balls. The game winner against the Steelers, he came back to the ball, boxed out the DB and came back to the ball and snagged it. The game against the Rams down in LA, he made some contested catches in that game. He showed some toughness. And, I think it's way too early to count him out. I really do.
Yeah, this is what I said this, and I guess I don't know, I don't want to say shitted on, but myself, Mike, and Wayne, I believe, and Tony might have even been on the show, but we were talking about receivers this year, and I said that, I don't think Brandon Ayuk's role is as big as it is week 1 as it will be in week 6 or 7, right? And I think that's where Dante Pettis fills in, right? Because West Coast says, how will Pettis get reps, though? And that's where I think that he gets reps. We all know how long it took Deebo Samuel to get really going, right? And Deebo was kind of forced into a role because of injury. So when you're building up rookies, you don't want them to have to be pinned on them, right? So now Deebo's hurt and won't be starting the season. They may not even rush him back because you have a Dante Pettis. You have a Brandon Ayuk you can throw in there to start doing things. You have a guy in KB who has come miles from what he was before, right? So you go and you look at these situations and you say, okay, everybody laughs at me when I say Brandon Ayuk won't be like one of those guys at week 1, week 2. Like, yes, I understand he's a first-round pick, but he's only a first-round pick because of the placement of where our picks were. And somebody else was going to take him, so you take the guy you want, right? Look, Brandon Ayuk is very, very talented, and I believe that he's going to be a Niner receiver beast for years to come. But I just don't think that his role starts off week 1.
And you have to remember, and I'm sorry to cut you off, you have to remember that this offseason, I mean, what kind of reps has the guy gotten? No OTAs. This training camp, for all intents and purposes, is going to be a joke. They're not going to do too much, before the season starts to get these guys injured, whatnot. No preseason game. Like, this is the strangest offseason for rookies. And so to expect Brandon Ayuk to come in week 1 and just be this savior, I think you put a little bit too much on his shoulders right off the bat. So, yeah, you're 100% right. I think you're going to see more Pettis than people would expect. And, there's other guys that can help, shoulder the load while Deebo's out. And I'm not saying Ayuk isn't going to get some playing time. You're going to see him out there. But to expect so much of a guy in an offseason where they're not really practicing, there's no preseason, you can't expect that from him.
Right, and you've seen with a training camp, OTAs, mini camp, OTAs, training camp, preseason last year, how long it took Deebo Samuel to become what Deebo Samuel was. Week 6, week 7 really took off. After Emmanuel Sanders got here, he really just started to take off. He had some good games in the beginning of the year. But you don't want to have to throw your first-round rookies in there and hope that they succeed because it ruins their entire career. if they don't have a good season, their mind gets screwed up. Like, oh my God, I can't do this. I just can't do this.
The one thing about Ayuk, though, coming in, I feel he's more polished as a pure wide receiver than Debo was coming in. And so the learning curve might not be as steep. But, again, that's with a normal offseason.
Right.
This has not been a normal offseason.
Correct. You know, you got to also think about it. Look, I'm going to mention a couple names to you. Charlie Warner, Jordan Reed, Ross Dwelly, George Kittle. How many times is a tight end going to line up as a receiver in the beginning of the year?
That Jordan Reed signing, I mean, huge.
Right? So Jordan Reed is already familiar with the playbook, right? It's just terminology he has to get back to used to, right? George Kittle is used to it. Ross Dwelly's used to it. The only guy that's not is Charlie Warner. So if your receivers aren't up to par and Debo's out, you can run a tight end out into the slot, or as an outside wide receiver, and use your running backs as well. So there's so much that Kyle can do with people who are familiar with this offense, and utilize that until the young rookies come along for the long haul in the season, because there's no camps. There's no preseason. There's no training camps. Like, there's training camp, but all OTAs, you didn't get your hand on a football. These guys aren't putting pads on until August 16th. Less than a month away from their first game. So, Kyle
and they're not going to have
this
these guys out there really hitting all that much. I know they've teased tackling, but you got to be real. They're not going to try and jeopardize these guys going into this year.
Yep. And it wouldn't surprise me to see guys that are familiar with the playbook for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Yep.
Right? Now, talking about the season, I want to talk to you, and then we'll jump off here because we've been on for an hour and 16 minutes. I was only going to come on for an hour. But talking about the season, I want to get your opinion on something, right? The 49ers travel to the East Coast weeks 2 and week 3, right? It has now been put out there that no team can stay in a hotel waiting for their next game the following week. So that means the Niners, instead of staying on the East Coast to play 2 back-to-back East Coast games, have to play week 2, travel back to California, then travel back to New York again for week 3. How much does this affect the 49ers in the first 3 weeks?
Now, does that rule out Youngstown?
Anywhere. They have to return to their home base. So you can't stay anywhere else because of the whole COVID stuff. So the Niners go home opener, travel to New York, short week, then travel back to California to get on a plane again a day or 2 later and travel and go back. Well, it would probably be later because they'll get 2 days or 3 days of practice, then travel day. So now it makes 2 short weeks instead of just 1. So they are doing that to every NFL team. So no NFL. So actually, the Niners and the Raiders are the ones that got screwed. The Niners and Raiders requested back-to-back games on the East Coast. And then it was approved. They gave them the back-to-back games so that they could stay on the East Coast because of travel time. But now they're saying that the Niners and Raiders have to travel back to California and can't play and stay on the East Coast or anywhere in the country.
I mean, if it wasn't the Giants and Jets, if it was tougher opponents, I'd be more concerned. I think they'll be fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a factor a little bit, but this is a really talented 49er team, and they're not playing the class of the NFL in weeks 2 and week 3. So will it have some effect? Sure, but it's the Giants and the Jets.
All right, so I just found the article because some people said that they can't. So it does say that it could alter the travel plans, but let's see what they says, right? So it says the San Francisco 49ers received a gift from NFL schedule makers when their 2 East Coast road games against the Jets and Giants were scheduled during back-to-back weeks in September. The team planned to make a 10-day trip out of it, avoiding a rigorous back-and-forth travel plan from coast to coast. And it says, just being on the West Coast and time change, that's Kyle Shanahan, so let's see where is it. All right, so the hope in May when the schedule was released was that the concerns surrounding the coronavirus pandemic would be diminishing by September. That isn't the case. Now the 49ers may not be allowed to stay on the road for an extended period of time, creating a significant disadvantage for the team, which may have to make back-to-back-to-back-to-back cross-country journeys. The 8 teams that have such back-to-backs will probably have to file IDER plans, which stands for Infectious Disease Emergency Response, wrote Peter King of NBC Sports. These are detailed travel and sequestering plans that the league and union will need to approve before a team is able to stay on the road for that length of time. I'm told the league is going to strongly urge teams not to stay on the road that long. Despite the inconvenience for the teams involved, stay tuned for that one. So it hasn't been a thing, but... And it said, and it's not just the back-to-back East Coast matchups that may be impacted. San Francisco typically travels for road games on Fridays after practice. They then will hold a walkthrough on the road that Saturday in preparation for a Sunday matchup. That may have to change too. The NFL is also likely to put a rule in for this year that no team can travel 2 days ahead of scheduled game. So, other than the Week 2 and 3 matchups against the New York team, San Francisco is scheduled to play the New England Patriots during Week 7. The team is also stated to face the New Orleans Saints in Week 10. While the last one is not an East Coast game, Central Time Zone, it still involves a significant amount of travel for the defending NFC champions. So, if these IDERs get approved, it'll be okay, but it also says that the NFL is strongly urging, which can still not be passed, for teams to travel 2 days in a row. Or 2 days ahead of time.
Yep.
So this is something that we need to watch and look, because this could... Look, whether it's the Giants and Jets, doesn't really matter. I mean, it's an NFL team. If you come out flat, you can get beat by anybody. We've seen that against the Atlanta Falcons this year. We've seen that against almost the Washington Redskins, right? Like the 9-0 game. If you don't show up and your body is tired and you're not practicing and getting stuff. Look, it's Week 2, Week 3. We just talked about rookies not being able to have camp. This stalls these guys of learning because it's less practice time.
Yeah.
So it is something that we need to keep looking after. And look, Tony Two-Tone says they had to turn in their IDER before camp. So, and Debbie says, doesn't matter the talent of the teams we are playing, it's still going to affect the players. So, all right, last one. Mark Cicinero says, is there a reason Niners showed interest in Deion Jordan and Ziggy Ansah, but not Clay Matthews or Everson Griffin?
Money.
I agree. I think money and familiarity. Ziggy is a familiarity guy with Chris Kocurek. Deion Jordan obviously didn't play under Chris Kocurek, but he was in Miami as well. So, money. Clay Matthews is supposed to sign with the Seahawks, right?
They're talking about Matthews or Griffin in Seattle.
Right. So, Tony, NJ Niner fan, says all teams are approved already. I'll look into that. I don't know. I believe him if he says that for travel, but this can still be a last-minute change in the NFL. So whether it's approved or not, the NFL could say, you know what? Look, I know Rhode Island right now is back to one of the red states to where if we, from New Jersey, where they're coming, travel outside of that area in those reds, we have to quarantine for 14 days when we come back. So New York and New Jersey is a green state right now. We're handling this stuff pretty well. But if you look at it, the map of the rest of the United States, don't know, man. Don't know. Yeah. He says there was a deadline for teams' plans. I don't think there's any type of deadlines right now for travel plans for the teams because of the fact of they don't know.
Yeah, I know that they had to submit their plans to open camp, and I don't know if that's different than the travel plans. I don't know if it's all encompassing or what, but I know that they had to submit those plans before they could start camp at their facility.
Right. So, all right. So, Mark, thanks for the question, man. Appreciate it. So and Tony says no, not for travel. There was a deadline for the team's plans, but I'm not sure what he's talking about. He's probably working because he's on Periscope. So, and then Debbie says, yeah, the Cards game as well. We could have lost that one. So there were a few games last year that we could have lost due to, whatever it may have been. But the only two that I could really think of the most was the Washington game and the Atlanta game. Two games that we, obviously we lost the Atlanta game, but there's a chance that we could have, won that game. But West Coast just says we just need that COVID-19 vaccine already. Look, Anthony Carl says, hit me up, Nick, about that ale. Oh, I definitely I will, Anthony. Appreciate it, man. I'll definitely hit you up for that, man. I love some ales, and definitely love some IPAs. JD, man, I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Anytime, man. I'm getting back in the swing of things. Like I said, I took a little time off, but the season's almost here, so I'll be cranking out stuff like usual.
I'm going to check you guys out over there, man. I'm definitely going to check you guys out. It's at 49ers Brawl.
On Twitter, yeah.
All right, so at 49ers Brawl. All one word?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So let's see here. So, guys, go over there and check them out at 49ers Brawl on Twitter and look on any of your local podcasts, SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere you can find them. And I'm sure that a lot of your viewers know where to find me, so, we don't really need to put that out there.
Yeah. You guys know JD, Hawkhater TV. So give him a follow as well if you're not already. Let's see here. Let's just take this banner off so we don't do that. So we can see that at JD Hawkhater TV right there, guys. You see it. Bang, bang. Niner gang. Let's bring JD in here. JD, man, I'm so upset, man. I had my tickets. I had the plane tickets. I had the hotel. And now I had to cancel the home opener trip. And I did get my money back from the game ticket. I did get my money back for the airline tickets, which was a pain in the butt, but we got it back. But I was booked, man. I was coming. I was happy to come and see my boys and all my guys out there in Cali. And damn COVID, man. Put it on.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a season ticket holder, and I'm not going to games this year, and it's not fun. And they gave season ticket holders the option to either get a refund or push the money into next year. If you get a refund, you're not eligible to be able to go to games this year if it's allowed at all. I don't see it being allowed at all just because of how strict Santa Clara County's been with this whole thing. And really, it's not the smart thing to do right now anyway, so I just pushed my money into 2021, and I'll worry about it next year. My tickets are already paid off for next year, so that's nice. And, as long as they're playing football, man, as long as I can watch it on TV, I can get by. If there's no NFL, then we got a problem.
Yeah. And, and that's the thing right now, man. Look, I love, as much as I love going to games and things like that, I'm just happy that there's going to be football. Yep. And, the most part of it is we get to get that revenge tour that we've been talking about. We get to.
Nick froze. I don't know if you guys are seeing me or Nick or what, but he's frozen on my end. Yeah, looks like he's frozen. So it's the JD show. No, I'm kidding. People in the chat, if you can see me, let me know. I'm not sure what happened with Nick. Nick froze. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we were getting ready to get off here anyway, but hopefully Nick will pop back on here in a second. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. We'll wait and see if he can come back on. I can't shut the thing off, so I guess you're stuck with me until Nick comes back or shuts this down. So we'll see. Yeah, Nick dropped out. Man, hoping he comes right back. Yeah, West Coast has JD taking over NBN. Yeah, nothing but JD now. That's what it's called. Nothing but JD. Yeah. You guys want me to do the outro? Nah, I won't. I won't do that. This is not my platform. But hopefully Nick pops back on here in a second. Who knows with I know the weather up there has been crazy in his area, so hopefully he's not down for the count. Hopefully he can get back in here pretty soon. There he is.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy because my internet literally just went completely out, and I'm plugged in. Literally just went completely out.
But I know you've had crazy weather up there, so who knows?
Yeah, it could be. It's thundering and lightning out right now. I lost all power, like I said. Casey's like, Nick just left to take over your channel. Yeah.
Hey, your chat was telling me to do your outro, man.
Yeah, look, that's all it takes, man. But yeah, like I said, guys, I apologize about that. Like I said, I had a big tree fall on my power. I was out of power since Monday night. You guys know that I was on the show with a generator and stuff like that. I just got power back last night, so I apologize for that. But it looks like it's getting a little sluggish again. So, other than that, guys, man, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you all. JD, appreciate you, buddy. We got to get you on here again to talk with all of us. I'm going to go check out 49ers Brawl just like everybody else should. And, yeah, that's all I got, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Anytime. Football season's almost here, and hopefully it can stay that way. My gut feeling isn't a good one for the forecast of the season and how things will play out, but let's just get to week 1 and take it 1 week at a time and see where we can go.
Hey, just like that, man. That's how you should do with everything in your life too, man. 1 foot ahead of the other, one at a time. Just take it day by day, guys. Stay safe out there. Wear your masks. Check us out on FTFN Network, Fan to Fan Network on Twitch and their regular website. And other than that, man, prepare for glory, anticipate pain, but always remain faithful. We're out of here.